Hello, welcome to Personal Finance Basics. This is Lesson 4, Dealing with Collection Agencies. If most of the bills putting you over budget each month are credit cards, you might be in a situation where you're dealing with collection agencies for some of these bills. So we're going to go into some tips on how to deal with those collection agencies or with the credit card companies. So if you have bills and collections, this is probably what you want to pay off first, since it can have a drastic negative impact on your credit. Typically, if you have bills and collections, you receive some angry letters in the mail. So once you do get the collection letters, you have several ways to deal with the collection agencies. Partly this depends on the amounts that you owe on what your short-term financial goals are. Before we tackle what to do, you'll also want to check your credit report to determine if there's any other outstanding bills you aren't aware of. We're going to discuss checking your credit score in the next lesson. Something interesting to keep in mind when dealing with collection agencies is to know that they bought your debt from the original creditors for pennies on the dollar, and that leaves some room for negotiation. So keep in mind, if you don't pay the collection agency, they send you to a debt collection agency. Every time that happens, you get another negative mark on your credit report. That means the longer you go without paying a bill in collections, the worse your credit will get, because each debt is showing up multiple times each time it bounces to a new collection agency. So here's some strategies for paying off your collections, and I'm going to go into each of these in detail, going from the easiest to the most difficult. First, you can ask your family for a loan. If you have good relationships with your family, this is probably the easiest way to go, because you can get this loan without having to have any type of credit or pay any type of interest. So when you go to your family, make sure you have a clear plan on how you're going to be able to pay them back for the loan, because that's a very important step, so that they know that you put a lot of thought into this and they're more likely to help you. If you can't ask your family for a loan, or if they say no, you can always get a personal loan as well. There's many online banks that will do this and transfer you the money in as little as a couple of days. Some of these that I've worked with in the past are Upstart Financial, Marcus from Goldman Sachs, and also there is a whole bunch of other ones. There's Lending Tree, there's a lot of peer-to-peer lenders out there, so it's a lot easier to qualify than traditional loans. Another thing you can try to do, if your credit isn't too bad yet and you can apply for new credit cards, you can get a balance transfer credit card, and what that does is it has a 0% interest rate for an introductory period a lot of times, and so that'll eliminate a lot of the interest you're paying, because that's the biggest problem with credit cards, is the interest that you have to pay. So a balance transfer card can help to alleviate that problem as well. If you're still having trouble, you can try negotiating with the collection agencies as well, because as I mentioned before, they have bought your debt for pennies on the dollar. So they have a little bit of wiggle room. They don't necessarily need to get the full amount for you. You can either try to negotiate down the amount that you have to pay. Sometimes you can pay as little as half if you offer to pay a lump sum. And if you're going to do that route, I would suggest just paying off either the smallest bill first, or whichever one has been with the collection agency the longest. Or if they start calling you, you can just deal with them as they call you. So there's several different ways you can do that as well. And if they're not willing to take a smaller amount, they do take monthly payments as well. When I was negotiating with collection agencies, I just told them I could only pay $50 a month, because that was a small amount to me, and so I told them that was all I could pay, and a lot of them went with it. Some of them tried to negotiate for higher amounts, and I did end up paying some higher amounts as well. So just keep that in mind, and if you can't come to a negotiation with them, you can always hang up the phone, and if it's upsetting you too much. So make sure that you keep your mental health in mind with this too, because it can be a very stressful process. And if you are having trouble negotiating with the collection agencies yourself, you can try what's called debt consolidation. And there are debt consolidation agencies out there that this is their whole job. And what they do, you pay money into basically like a trust account every month, and then once there's money to pay off one of your debts, they'll pay them. And once you start the debt consolidation process, what they will do is every time a collection agency calls you, you can refer them to your counseling service, and then you will stop getting those phone calls as well, and they can negotiate everything for you and sometimes get a better deal because they have relationships with these credit card companies. Another thing you can try is called credit counseling. So what they do is they will help you to get things removed off your credit report, and that can be very helpful as well. Sometimes you can do that either before or after you try any of these other methods and just go straight to credit counseling, and they'll tell you what you should pay first, and they try to go directly to the credit bureau and get things removed from your credit report. And if that's the case, you may not end up actually having to pay everything, so it can be a fairly good option as well. And if none of these options work, you can always try filing for bankruptcy. They do have a very stringent requirements in some states for that. There's multiple different types of bankruptcy, so I would recommend talking to a bankruptcy lawyer. Some of them do charge fairly low fees, so they'll be able to help you. And most also have a free initial consultation, so you can decide that if it's right for you. Another thing you can do while you're trying to get your finances back on track, you can apply for social programs. If you go to your local city office, they can usually help you. Most are through the Department of Human Services here in the United States. I'm not sure what it is abroad, so you have to Google that a little bit probably. And you can apply for health insurance, you can apply for assistance getting a better job, or a job if you don't have a job. You can get things like food stamps or sometimes cash assistance as well, or help paying your energy bill in a lot of places. So all of those can help take some of the pressure off you while you're going through this process, and most of them have a qualifying period that you'll qualify for at least 6 months. So that'll give you some time to get the rest of your finances together and start paying on some of these collections. Now you've learned some ways to help pay off any collection notices you may be getting, and in the next lesson we're going to be talking about how to check your credit report. Thank you guys for watching. Have a nice day, and I hope this helps you. Leave me some comments below and let me know if there's anything you'd like me to talk about in the next video. Have a great day, guys. Bye.